Hello everybody, welcome to today's edition of the Daf Yomi, Menachot Daf 98 Amud B. The Bible explains, the staves of the ark pressed against the curtain and bulged outwards. So what does that mean? The Chakim Uvoltin Beparoches. And commentators explain that this protrusion of the staves of the ark was miraculous. The ark was positioned in the middle of the Holy of Holies. Since one of the miracles of the temple was that the ark itself did not occupy any space in the Holy of Holies, see Megillah 10b, there were 10 vacant cubits on each side of it, and the Holy of Holies was 20 cubits wide. Consequently, even according to the opinion that the state extended only in one direction, they were still not long enough to protrude against the curtain within 10 cubits in length. Rather, the staves were roughly lengthened to push against the curtain and the sign of God to threaten for the Jewish people. That's Tosfot, also the Rambam. And they appear like two breasts of a woman that are discernible through her clothes, as is stated, my beloved is to me like a bundle of myrrh lying between my breasts, Psalms 113. Since the staves pressed against the curtain, they were evidently placed from east to west. The Gemara asks, and from where do we derive that the ark staves were not set along the width of the ark? Perhaps they were set along the ark's length, in which case the ark was placed along the length of the temple, not along its width. The Rav Yehuda said that this cannot be the case, as the ark was carried by two men on each side who stood between the two staves. If the staves were placed along its length, the two men carrying it on each side would be positioned along the width of the ark, which is 1.5 cubits. This is impossible, as the two men standing next to each other in a space of only 1.5 cubits cannot walk. The later commentators asked why the Gemara assumes that the bearers of the ark walked between the staves and not beside them. Some suggest that the manner of carrying the ark was transmitted as an oral tradition, and that's in Sifas Embassy also producing Batra. If the staves placed along the width of the ark, two bearers on each side would be positioned between the staves along the length of the ark, which was a larger space of 2.5 cubits. Gemara asks, from where do we derive the ark was carried by 4 men? It's derived from a verse as it is written with regard to the carrying of the ark by the sons of Kohach. And the Kohath would travel, and the bearers of the Holy Ark, and the tabernacle will be set up before they come in Numbers 10:21. The verse uses the plural form twice. The first phrase, and the Kohath would travel, is that 2 people would bear the ark, and the second phrase, the bearers of the Holy Ark, also indicates that 2 people would bear the ark. The total is therefore 4 bearers. Sages taught King Solomon built 10 additional tables, modeled after the one Moses crafted, and as stated in the description of the temple constructed by Solomon. He made also 10 tables and placed them in the sanctuary, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left. 2 Chronicles 4:8. If you say that the terms right and left are referring to the 2 sides of the entrance of the sanctuary, entrance to the sanctuary, which was the center of the eastern wall, this is difficult. According to this interpretation, Solomon placed 5 tables to the right of the entrance on the north side and 5 tables to the left of the entrance on the south side of the sanctuary. If so, we find that in the case of the 5 tables to the left of the entrance, they were placed in the south of the sanctuary, but the Torah said, we shall put a table on the north side. It says 26:35, rather than the verse means that the table of Moses was placed in the middle on the north section of the sanctuary, while 5 of Solomon's tables were placed to the right of Moses' table, and the other 5 were placed to the left of Moses' table. All of the tables were in the north of the sanctuary. The sages taught King Solomon built 10 additional candelabra, modeled after what Moses crafted, as is stated, and he made the 10 candelabra of gold according to the ordinance concerning them, and he set them in the sanctuary, 5 on the right and 5 on the left, in 2 Chronicles 4:7. And if you say that the terms right and left referring to the 2 sides of the entrance to the sanctuary, this is difficult. But in this interpretation, Solomon placed 5 candelabra to the right of the entrance on the north side and 5 candelabra to the left of the entrance on the south side. If so, we find that in the case of the 5 candelabra to the right of the entrance, the candelabra was placed in the north of the sanctuary. But the Torah said, and you shall set the table outside the curtain, candelabrum opposite the table, on the side of the tabernacle toward the south, and you shall place the table on the north side in Exodus 26:35. There was a footnote. The later commentators explain that the place of the candelabra was defined in relation to the location of the table. Therefore, when the tabernacle was erected, they first placed the table and then positioned the candelabra opposite it. That's what God cited in the graph. Well, the verse means that the candelabra of Moses was placed in the middle of the south section of the sanctuary, while 5 of the candelabra that Solomon crafted were placed to the right of the candelabra of Moses and 5 to its left, all in the south of the sanctuary. It is taught in one Bible that these tables of candelabra were set inward on the first half of the length of the structure of the temple, as measured from east to west, as is taught in one Bible that they were set inward of the first third of the length of the structure of the temple. The Gemara explained that this is not difficult, as the two Bibles do not disagree with regard to the location of the table of the candelabra. In the second Bible, the sage is reckoning the length of the hall of the Holy of Holies, which was 20 cubits, together with the length of the sanctuary. There's a little diagram here of the Heichal, the sanctuary, and the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies. So together, the sanctuary and the Holy was 20 cubits. Now they were each. The Holy of Holies was 20, together with the length of the sanctuary, which is 40. According to the total length of the structure was 60 cubits, and the tables the table number was at inward with its length, 20 cubits from the entrance. The mercy in the first part of the sage is not reckoning the length of the whole of the Holy of Holies together with the length of the sanctuary. Since he is referring to the 40 cubits of the sanctuary itself, inward of the first half of the structure, the length means 20 cubits from the entrance. The sage is taught in a brighter. All the tables built by Solomon, placed from east to west, i.e., their length was along the length of the sanctuary, as was the table in the tabernacle. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Rabbi son of Rabbi Shimon said, it placed from north to south, along the width of the sanctuary. Rabbi explains what is the reason of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. He derives this halacha from the comparison of the tables to the candelabra. The candelabra was placed from east to west, so to this table were positioned from east to west. First, with regard to the candelabra itself, when we derive this position from east to west, this is derived from the fact that it is written with regard to the western lamp of the candelabra outside the curtain of the testimony in the temple of meeting. I shall set it in order, the burn from evening to morning before the Lord continually. In verse 24:3, the phrase shall set it in order is written in the singular, going only to the western lamp. Well explains, one can affirm the fact that the verse states that the western lamp is set before the Lord, and before the Holy of Holies, that the location of all the other lamps of the candelabra is not considered before the Lord, and they are not situated in the same proximity to the Holy of Holies. This would be the case only if the candelabra was positioned from east to west. And if it enters your mind to say the candelabra was positioned from north to south, then all the other lamps should also be considered before the Lord, and the lamps are the equal distance from the Holy of Holies. The Gemara asks, and from Rabbi Elazar, son of Rabbi Shimon, what's the reason for his opinion? And the Gemara replies, he derives his halacha from a comparison of the tables to the ark. Just as the ark was placed from north to south, it was positioned so that its longer side was along the width of the sanctuary, from north to south, as stated in the Brighton Babam Sefer Avod Hilchot Beit Mechira 3:12. So two of these tables are positioned from north to south. There were challenges, but as for Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, it was derived from the ark that the tables are positioned from north to south. The Gemara explained that according to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, one derives the position of the tables, which is located in the outer area of the sanctuary, from the column which is also located in the outer area of the sanctuary. And one does not derive the position of the tables, which is located in the outer area of the sanctuary, from the ark, located in the inner area of the sanctuary, the Holy of Holies. The Gemara challenges the answer of Rabbi Elazar, son of Rabbi Shimon. Let him derive from the candelabrum that the tables were positioned from east to west. The Gemara answers that Rabbi Elazar, son of Rabbi Shimon, could have said to you, the candelabrum itself was also placed from north to south. The lamps of the candelabrum were placed on the width of the sanctuary from north to south. Above the Sefer Avod Hilchot Beit Mechira 3:12 See the line and the Kesef Mishnah there. The Gemara asked, but isn't it written with regard to the western lamp of the candelabrum, Aaron and his sons shall set it in order to burn from evening to morning before the Lord, Exodus 27:21, indicate that this lamp must be in great proximity to the Holy of Holies. It's possible only the candelabrum is positioned from east to west. One replied that according to Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shimon, the term before the Lord means the wick of the middle lamp is turned to the Holy of Holies, as the priest who kindles the lamps turns the wicks of the other lamp slightly to the side, whereas the wick of the middle lamp is turned directly toward the Holy of Holies. This is as is taught in the Braita. The verse states, when you light the lamps, the 7 lamps shall give light toward the front of the candelabrum, Numbers 8:2. It teaches that the priest would turn the front of each lamp toward the middle lamp. The 6 fixed lamps that emerge from the branch of the candelabrum will be tilted toward the middle lamp, as is stated in the Rambam Sefer Vod Hilchot Beis Bechira 3:8. The front of the lamps will not turn entirely toward the middle lamp. Each lamp faced west toward the Holy of Holies, but was slightly tilted in the direction of the middle lamp. And that's the response of the Rivash. In this manner, the interpretation of the sage does not contain the straightforward meaning of the verse. When you light the lamps, 7 lamps shall give light toward the front of the candelabrum in Numbers 8:2, which indicates that all 7 lamps shall shine toward the western wall of the sanctuary, which is in front of the candelabrum, and that's from the Yosef Daz. But the middle lamp turned toward the Holy of Holies. Rabbi Nathan says, one can infer from here that the middle position is preeminent. The Gemara discusses the different opinions with regard to the position of the tables. The length of each table was 2 cubits. When the 10 tables were placed alongside the other, the overall length would amount to slightly more than 20 cubits. Granted, according to the one who said the tables were positioned along the length of the sanctuary from east to west, this is the way that the 10 tables resided in an area 20 cubits long. They could extend slightly beyond 20 cubits since the entire area was 40 cubits long. But according to the one who said they were positioned along the width of the sanctuary from north to south, realized the son of Rabbi Shimon, how could 10 tables reside in an area that was sized 20 cubits wide? And moreover, if the 10 tables occupied the entire width of the sanctuary, how would the priest pass them in order to enter the Holy of Holies Yom Kippur? Moreover, if the tables were positioned in the same manner, we find that 5 of the 10 tables were located in the south of the sanctuary. Another part of the shubad was placed only on Moses' table, which is in the north, where the table required to be fit for the placement of the shubad, which means that they had to be in the north as well. And that's from the Tosfot Yishanim on Yom Torah HaKodesh, or the sanctuary, where the Torah states that the table must be in the north of the sanctuary. And moreover, if the 10 tables built by Solomon occupied the entire width, where would one place a table built by Moses? The Gemara replies, but according to your reasoning, the last question applies. According to the one who says that the tables are positioned from east to west as well, where would one place a table built by Moses if the 10 tables of Solomon occupied the 20 cubits of the inner half of the sanctuary? And Moses' table was placed in the middle of the 10 tables. Rather, do you maintain that there was only one row of tables? It was not so. They were set in 2 rows with the table of Moses between the rows. Therefore, there was room for all the tables. It was possible for the high priest to pass by them. Thank you for listening and wish you all the best. Bye.